is biological. Class our topic for today is biological assets. Class our topic for today is biological assets. This topic is under PAS 41, and PAS 41 discusses two major items. Number one, biological assets, and number two, agricultural produce. Sir, what are biological assets? Biological assets are living animals and living plants. Okay, I'll give you examples. Doon tayo sa living animals. Examples are chickens, cows, pigs, fish, horses, sheep, etc. Okay? So these are examples of biological assets na living animals. So naman tayo sa living plants. Now, before maging biological assets, yung living plants, they must be consumable. Okay? Ibig sabihin class, pag consumable, once makonsume natin, mamamatay na sila. So ang maganda examples yan are vegetables. So yung biological assets ng living plants, examples are onions, garlic, and cabbage, tomatoes, and so on and so forth. Okay? So these are examples of biological assets na living plants. Sir, bakit kailangan mo i-highlight na consumable? So again, pag sabi mo consumable, once mo consume na natin, mamamatay na sila. For example, onions. Pag na-consume na yung plant na onions, wala na yun, mamamatay na yan. Because ang opposite ng class is what you call bearer plants. Okay? When you say bearer plants or bearer trees, these are plants or trees that are intended to bear fruits para magbunga. Okay? Examples class, coconut trees, mango trees, ano pa? Avocado trees, papaya trees, and so on and so forth. So yung coconut trees, pag nagbunga siya ng coconut fruits, buhay pa rin yung coconut trees. Okay? Yun yung difference na sa consumable na living plants. Right? So yung classification class of bearer plants, hindi yan biological assets. Bearer plants are classified as PPE, property, plant, and equipment. Okay? Now, sir, bakit kailangan pa natin i-differentiate yan? Kasi class later, matututunan natin, iba-iba yung measurement. Biological assets, iba yung measurement yan. PPE, iba yung measurement yan. Alright? So, ulitin ko, biological assets na living animals, may bioassets yan. Living plants na consumable, bioassets yan. Bearer plants, PPE yan. Okay? Now, let's go to the second one, agricultural produce. Agricultural produce, these are the harvested products of biological assets and bearer plants. Basically, ito yung bunga nila. Kaya siya tinawag na produce. So, ano ba yung agricultural produce or yung bunga ng, let's say, chickens? Okay, example ng agricultural produce for chickens, well, eggs. Okay? For example naman, ano naman yung agricultural produce ng coconut? Coconut fruits. Okay? So, ito yung examples class of agricultural produce. Alright? Now, according to PAS 41, before they can be classified as biological assets, they have to undergo what you call agricultural activities. Okay? So yung plants and animals na yan, before sila maging biological assets, they have to undergo agricultural activities. So ano ibig sabihin ng agricultural activities? Ibig sabihin lang yung class, basically, yun yung pag-aalaga sa animals and plants. Okay? For example, yung raising, feeding, okay? Pagbibigay ng fertilizers, ng vitamins, farming, yung mga ganyan. So, very important yan because kapag hindi sila dumaan sa agricultural activities, for example, class, yung mga plants na ginagamit sa landscaping, okay, sa landscape, well, hindi naman agricultural activities yun. Yung plants used in landscaping, ang classification nun, PPE. Okay? Hindi yun classified as biological assets. Alright? So later, babalikan natin yan. Basically, yun yung coverage of PAS 41. Now, para mas malinaw, let's have some examples. Okay, ito yung classification and measurement. Start tayo with cows. Okay, meron tayong cows, and napoproduce ng cows, or milk, and then pag pre-process natin yung milk, nagiging cheese yan. Okay? So, cows, napoproduce yung milk, pag pre-process yung milk, nagiging cheese. Sir, ano yung classification of cows? Well, living animals yan. Okay? So that's why cows are biological assets. BA na lang tawag natin. Okay? Cows are biological assets. According to PAS 41, biological assets are measured, measurement niya, is fair value less cost to sell. Okay? Later, i-expound natin yung fair value less cost to sell, pero basically, ganyan measured yung biological assets. Okay? Now, yung na-produce ng cows ng milk, agricultural produce. Kasi yan yung harvested product of cows. Okay? So yung milk is agricultural produce. And according to PAS 41, agricultural produce are also measured at fair value less cost to sell, pero at point of harvest. Okay? Point of harvest. Ano ibig sabihin? For example, nag-harvest ka May 1. Kung ano yung fair value less cost to sell nung May 1, doon mo i-measure yung agricultural produce. Okay? So again, fair value less cost to sell at point of harvest. Now, once, take note na kapag agricultural produce, not yet processed. So yung milk, hindi pa pinaprocessed. Original form pa rin yan. Once i-process na natin yan, na magiging cheese na siya, okay, consider na yan as inventory. Tandaan mo class, kapag inventory, processed na yan. Okay, pag not yet processed, agricultural produce. Pag na-process mo na yan, inventory na yan. And we know, inventory PAS2 yan. And in PAS2, inventories are measured at LC, NRB. Lower of cost or NRB. Again, yung follow mo dyan is PAS2. Okay, kaya class, very important yung classification natin. Kapag biological assets or agricultural produce, PS41 tayo. Fair value less cost to sell. Kapag inventory, PS2 tayo. LC, NRV. Gets? Okay. Let's have another example. For example, class, we have avocado trees. Ayan. So yung avocado trees natin, ang produce niyan, okay, magbubunga siya ng avocado fruits. And then, pag pre-process natin yung avocado fruits, magiging avocado shake naman siya. Okay? So, meron tayong avocado trees, avocado fruits, and avocado shake. So, class, ano yung classification of avocado trees? Well, living plants yan, tama? Pero consumable. Consumable ba yan? Hindi yan consumable. Kasi pag nag-harvest ka, okay, pinitas mo yung fruits, yung avocado fruits, buhay pa rin yun. So, ano tawag dyan? Better plants. Okay? Better plants are classified as PPE. And then, ang ipa-follow mo standards yan, PS 16. Alright? So, ang measurement ng PPE, we know, at cost. Alright? So, yung avocado fruits, well, harvested product yan. So, harvested product ng better plants, agricultural produce. Agricultural produce, again, fair value less cost to sell at the point of harvest. Kung kailan mo hinarvest, kung kailan mo pinitas yung avocado fruits. So, yun yung ibig sabihin nun. Now, pag pre-process natin, again, pag avocado fruits, original form yan, hindi pa processed yan. Kaya siya agricultural produce. Once i-process natin yan, naging avocado shake, ready for sale sa mga customers, inventory na yan. And again, pag inventory, lower of cost, or NRV. LC, NRV, and susundin mo dyan is PAS 2. Okay, so take note class, yung mga standards na involved dito, pag biological assets, PS 41. Fair value less cost to sell. Kapag inventory, PAS 2. LC, NRV. Kapag PPE, such as better plants, PAS 16. At cost naman yung measurement na. Okay? Sige. Now, let's go to measurement. So obviously, just like other assets, initial measurement and subsequent measurement. Tandaan nyo class, biological assets are initially measured at fair value less cost to sell. Alright? And they are subsequently measured also at fair value less cost to sell. Yung measurement nila initially and subsequently, pareho lang. Fair value less cost to sell. Okay, now, pag sinabi mong fair value, alam na natin ibig sabihin yan. Ibig sabihin, iyon yung price today, the current market price. Right? So ano ba ibig sabihin ng cost to sell? Cost to sell. So, ibig sabihin, yan yung mga gagastusin natin pag nagbenta tayo ng biological assets. And PAS 41 has 3 examples of cost to sell. Sulat mo to, class. Ito yung mga cost to sell according to PAS 41. Commissions paid to brokers. Okay, sulat mo muna. Next is levies by regulatory agency. And third example sa PAS 41 is transfer taxes and duties. Okay? So, ulitin ko class. Pag sinabing fair value less cost to sell, important yan kasi yan yung measurement, initial and subsequent measurement. Fair value, alam na natin yan, yan yung price today, okay, ng biological asset. Yung cost to sell, meron 3 examples sa PS 41. Okay, ito siya. Commission to brokers. For example, class, bibili tayo ng 100 na chickens. Di ba, chickens, biological assets yun kasi living animals. And for example, nagbayad tayo sa brokers, may tumulong sa atin na pagbili ng chickens, nagbayad tayo sa kanya. Cost to sell yan. Levies by regulatory agency. Sino ba yung nagre-regulate ng agriculture sa Philippines? Department of Agriculture. For example, nagbayad tayo sa Department of Agriculture. For example lang, cost to sell yan. Transfer taxes and duties. Kung may mga taxes man tayong babayaran ng duties, examples din yan ng cost to sell. Right? So again, biological assets are initially and subsequently measured at fair value less cost to sell. Now, yung changes in fair value less cost to sell, pupunta lahat yan sa profit or loss. P&L yan. Every December 31, mag-mark to market tayo, lahat ng changes pupunta ng P&L. Para siyang FVPL. Ang difference lang niya, kapag FVPL, walang cost to sell. Sa biological assets, may cost to sell. Pero pareho sila, pupunta sila ng P&L. Gets? Okay. So later, babalikan natin yung disclosures. Okay, apply muna natin yung concepts. Okay. Let's go to illustrative example number 1. Sinulat ko na para mas ma-efficient yung discussion natin. Okay, so requirement is classify the above items accordingly and indicate the applicable accounting standard and measurement principle. Let's go to letter A, sheep. Sheep is a living animal, tama? So that's why sheep is classified as biological asset. Standard na gagamitin natin class is PAS 41. Fair value less cost to sell is our measurement. Alright? Next, wool. Well, ito yung napoproduce ng sheep. Tama, wool. So ibig sabihin, agricultural produce yan. Harvested product ng sheep yan. Again, agricultural produce, still PAS 41, pero ang difference nila, fair value less cost to sell at point of harvest. Okay? Kung kailan mo hinarvest yung wool, okay, from the sheep. Kung, for example, hinarvest siya May 15, May 15, kung ano yung fair value less cost to sell May 15, dun mo i-measure yung wool na yan or yung agricultural produce natin. Carpet. Pag pre-process mo yung wool, naging carpet siya, we know it's now an inventory. Basta ready for sale to customers, inventory na yan. PAS2 and LC and RV. Okay. Next, cattle. Cattle or cows. Okay. Cows or cattle are living animals, therefore biological assets yan. PAS 41 and fair value less cost to sell. Okay, milk. Ito yung example yata natin kanina. Yun. Milk, we know, agricultural produce yan because it's a harvested product. PAS 41 and fair value less cost to sell at point of harvest. Okay, next is cheese. Again, process na yan. No? Pag pre-process mo na, inventory na yan. Inventory is PES2 and LC and RV. Alright, next, sugarcane. In sugarcane class, it's an example of consumable na living plant. Consumable yan. Kasi kapag na-harvest ka ng sugarcane, mamamatay na yung sugarcane. Consumable yan. That's why this is a biological asset. Okay? PS41, and then fair value less cost to sell. Harvested cane. Pag harvest mo na yung sugarcane, well, produce yan, agricultural produce, PS41, and then fair value less cost to sell at point of harvest. Okay? Next, sugar. Pag na-process mo na yung sugarcane, naging sugar na siya, available for sale to customers, inventory na yan. Inventory is PAS2, therefore LC and RV. Okay, apple trees. Well, yung apple trees, example yan ng bearer plants. Kasi kapag hinarvest mo yung apple, buhay pa rin yung apple tree. Okay, pag ganun, PPE yan. Okay, bearer plants are considered as PPE. Alam natin PPE class, PAS16, and measurement niya is cost. Okay, at cost for PPE. Next, harvested apples. Yung na-harvest natin from the apple trees. Alam natin class, agricultural produce yan. And this is PAS41. And fair value less cost to sell at point of harvest. Okay. And last one, apple juice. Pag pre-process natin yung harvested apples to apple juice, ready for sale to customers, inventory, we have PAS2 and lower of cost or NRV. Okay, so these are your answers for illustrative example number 1. So hopefully, nagets nyo na yung differences nila, how to classify, and paano yung measurement nila. Alright, sige. Now, let's go to main problem number 1. Main problem number 1. So class, erase ko na. So make sure na nakopy nyo siya. Okay, so what total amount should be reported as biological assets? So yun yung tanong sa atin sa main problem number 1. So erase ko lang class. And ayan. Sige. Okay. Jocelyn Company provided the following information about assets in forest plantation. So meron siyang forest plantation. Freestanding trees, 5 million. Land under trees, 900,000. So kung ito-drawing mo yan, hindi ako magaling mag-drawing. Pero, so let's say meron tayong land. Okay? And then may trees tayo. And ito yung freestanding trees. Alright? And then roads in forest. So meron kang roads. And then merong animals related to recreational activities and rubber trees and grapevines. So tingnan natin yung classification for each. So tingnan natin kung alin dyan yung biological assets and kung alin dyan yung PPE. Okay. Freestanding trees. Meron siyang forest plantation. Well, hindi naman sinabi ko anong klaseng tree yan. Okay? So, pero alam natin, living plants yan. Tama? And for example, siguro baka pwedeng Nara tree. Okay? So yung Nara, once i-harvest mo yan, mamatay na yan. Okay? So, pag ginamit mo siya as wood, right? So, for furniture, for example. So, freestanding trees, hindi naman hinighlight dito na bearer plant siya or whatever. Or yes, na bearer plant siya. Let's classify this as biological assets. So, lagyan natin dito class, 5 million. Pero kapag nakalagay dyan na bearer plant siya, PPE yan. Hindi naman nakalagay. So, let's assume na biological assets siya. Next, land under trees. So, ito yung biological assets. Yung land, well, yung land dyan, wala ka namang makikita ng land dito. Okay? So, PPE, yung land. Lagyan natin, 900,000 for PPE. Roads in forest. Land din naman yung roads. So, PPE yan, 500,000. Animals related to recreational activities. Ano yung examples yan? Recreational, let's say, yung mga animals sa Manila Zoo. Okay? So, yung mga animals sa Manila Zoo, ang classification niyang class, PPE yan. Okay? Sir, bakit hindi biological assets yun? Because, hindi naman sila nag-undergo sa agricultural activities. Kaya important yan. Ano ulit yung agricultural activities? Yan yung pag-aalaga ng living plants and animals na agriculture related. Okay? Yung feeding, yung mga pagbibigyan ng vitamins, ng fertilizers, yung mga ganyan. So, pag recreational activities, isipin nyo lang yan yung mga nasa zoo, PPE yun. Pero kapag nag-undergo sila ng agricultural activities, pag nakalagay dyan, agricultural activities, biological assets. Since recreational activities yan, PPE yan. So, lagyan mo dito class, PPE, 2 million. Rubber trees and grapevines. So, rubber trees, yan yung literally tree yan, na yung mga bunga niyan, yun yung ginagamit to make rubber. Okay? And grapevines, obviously, yan yung kapag nagbunga, yun yung naging grape. So, ang tawag natin dyan, bearer plants. And we know bearer plants are PPE, 1.5 million. Okay, so biological assets natin class, 5 million, which is letter A. And then PPE natin, let's add 900,000 plus 500,000 plus 2 million plus 1.5 million, that is 4.9 million. So, pag tinanong ka, how much yung PPE? 4.9 million. Pero sagot natin dito class, problem number 1, letter A, 5 million for biological assets. Okay, yung last item kasi class, very explicit naman na rubber trees and grapevines. Alam natin, bearer plants yan, okay, or bearer trees. Kaya PPE. Yung freestanding trees kasi, yung first item, wala namang sinabi na meron siya na binibear na fruits or whatever. Kaya inassume natin na biological assets yan, na living plants. Okay? Sige. Let's go to illustrative example number 2. Illustrative example number 2. Okay. Requirement natin sa ating class is compute for the following. Fair value, cost to sell, and fair value less cost to sell. Doon mo tayo sa fair value. Okay, so, paano gagawin mo dyan, sir? Tingnan mo natin yung given. On January 1, 2025, Pinnacle Company reported the following information. Price in the principal market. Pag nasa market ka or nasa palengke ka, okay? Yan daw yung price, 20,000. Eh, ibig sabihin, yun yung fair value. Tama ba, class? Pag sa'yo mong fair value, kung ano yung value niya today, okay? So, lagay natin dito, price in the market, which is 20,000. And then, yung commissions to brokers, cost to sell yan. Ito siya, commissions to brokers. So, lagay mo dyan, cost to sell. Transport costs, ingat ka dito, class. According to PS41, explicit doon, na yung transport costs are adjustments to fair value. Tandaan mo yan. So, take note mo yan. According to PS41, transport costs are adjustment to fair value. So, ibig sabihin kasi, ma-minus natin yan. Hindi yan cost to sell. Transport costs are not cost to sell. Adjustment siya sa fair value, minus siya. So, that's why, class, yung fair value natin dito sa given, okay, is 19,300. Yan yung sagot mo sa fair value. Alright? Doon naman tayo sa cost to sell. So, well, yung kanina, na commissions to brokers, isa sa mga examples natin yan dito. So, lagay natin dito, class, 1,000. And then, transport cost, okay na tayo. Levies by commodity exchange. Example din natin yan. So, lagay natin dito, levies. How much? That is 300. Transfer taxes and duties. Example din natin kanina yan. Actually, sa PS41 yan. So, taxes na lang, lagay natin. That is 500. So, 1,000 plus 300 plus 500. Answer natin, class. Cost to sell natin is 1,800. And number 3, how much yung fair value less cost to sell? Well, 19,300, the fair value. I-minus mo sa 1,800. That is 17,500. Very important yung class kasi yung fair value less cost to sell, yan yung initial and subsequent measurement natin for biological assets. Ingat ka lang sa transport cost, no? Again, transport cost, huwag mo ilalagay sa cost to sell yan. Adjustment yan sa fair value. Because sa market naman, sa palengke, okay, isipin mo na lang na gano'n. Normal naman dyan na may transport cost, di ba? Nagbabayad ka talaga dyan. So, since it's typical, it's normal in the market, sabi sa PS41, adjust lang natin yung fair value. Huwag mo na lang ilagay yan sa cost to sell. Okay? Sige, so these are your answers. Okay, let's move on to main problem number 2. Medyo pa-jump tayo para related yung mga sasagutan natin, no? Para maayos yung flow ng questions. Let's go to main problem number 2. Ganun lang din, we'll compute for the fair value less cost to sell. Okay, so let's read the questions. Question number 1, what amount should the biological assets be initially measured or recognized? Alam natin, class, ang tanong na dyan, how much daw yung fair value less cost to sell? Okay? Kasi yun yung initial measurement of biological assets. Okay, second question. What amount should the biological assets be reported in the December 31 or yung subsequent measurement? Paano yung subsequent measurement? Fair value less cost to sell din. So, basically, ang tanong sa question number 1 and question number 2, how much daw yung fair value less cost to sell? Okay, ganoon na siya. Let's read the given. Mariah Company purchased chickens at an auction for 300,000 on July 1, 2021. The cost of transporting the chickens back to the office was 3,000. And the company would have to incur similar transportation costs if it was to sell the chickens in auction. In addition, an auctioneer's fee of 2% of sales price, how much yung 2% ng 300,000? Sulat mo dyan, class, that is 6,000. Yun daw yung sa July 1. So yun yung tanong sa question number 1. Ganito gagawin ko dyan, class. So meron tayong selling price na 300,000. Ito siya, yung kanina. Ima-minus ko yung transportation cost kasi sabi sa PS41, adjustment daw yan to the fair value. So ibig sabihin, that is minus 3,000. Ito na yung fair value mo. Tama? Fair value mo dito is 297,000. And then, meron kang auctioneer's fee. Lagi ko na lang auction na na-compute natin earlier, 6,000. Tama? Therefore, yung auctioneer's fee na yan, yun yung cost to sell. Kasi i-incur natin yan, cost natin yan whenever magbebenta tayo. Cost to sell yan. Therefore, our fair value less cost to sell for this problem is 291,000. Letter A. Letter A. Punta naman tayo sa December 31. Let's continue reading. On December 31, after taking into account the location, the fair value of the biological assets had increased to 500,000. So, lagyan natin dyan yung selling price na 300,000. That is the market price, including, kasama daw. Alam natin, pag transportation cost, mina-minus mo yan. So, minus natin yung transpo. How much yung transpo natin? Well, okay, so adjustment or yung transpo natin is 3,000. And then, yung auctioneer's fee natin, which is the cost to sell. So, how much yan? 2% of 500,000. Price pala nito is 500, okay? Hindi 300. 500,000 times 2%, yung auctioneer's fee, you have 10,000. Alright? So, ibig sabihin, yung fair value mo, class, is 497,000. Fair value less cost to sell is 487,000. Okay? Fair value less cost to sell. Answer for question number 2, A, 487,000. Okay, so question number 1, A, 291. Question number 2, A, 487,000. Let's go to illustrative example number 3. Simple lang to, class. Papakita ko lang sa inyo yung mga journal entries para alam niyo yung computation, alam niyo rin yung journal entries. Okay? Sige, so let's go to illustrative example number 3. Okay. On January 1, 2025, Mr. Accounting Company acquired a biological asset, for example, cows. So, yun yung in-acquire natin. Fair value of 10,000. Necessary cost incurred on the purchase, total 2,000. Ano tawag natin dyan? Directly attributable cost. Tama? Necessary cost, directly attributable cost. It was estimated that if the biological assets is to be sold, cost to sell would amount to 500. So, class, how much yung fair value less cost to sell dito? Tama ba 10,000 na fair value and then magbebenta daw tayo ng, or gagastos daw tayo ng 500 when we sell. So yung fair value less cost to sell is 9.5. Tama lang? And sabi natin, initial measurement is fair value less cost to sell. So paano entry mo dyan, sir? January 1, 2025, entry natin, debit biological assets, which is a non-current asset. Okay, bio assets. How much? 9.5 kasi yun yung initial measurement natin. Credit cash, how much yung binayad natin? 10,000 and then 2,000 na necessary cost. 12,000 yan. Tandaan mo, class, yung cost to sell na 500, hindi pa natin na-i-incur yan. Estimate lang yan. Okay? Kaya wala siya dito sa cash. Hindi mo pa nababayaran yan. Alright? In the future yan, pag nagbenta ka. Okay, sir, hindi balance yung entry natin. So, saan mo i-charge yan, sir? I-charge mo yan sa debit loss from change in fair value less cost to sell. Okay, yun yung balancing figure mo dyan, which is 2,500. Ulitin ko, ang debit mo is fair value less cost to sell, 9.5. Credit cash mo yung actual na ginastos mo. Difference nila, loss from change in fair value less cost to sell, which we will report sa P&L. Okay, so ganyan siya. Sir, ano nangyari dun sa necessary costs incurred on the purchase total 2,000? Well, nandun siya sa cash. Sir, ba't di mo siya sinama sa biological assets? Yung directly attributable costs. Applicable lang yan sa PPE. Naalala niyo yan? Sa PPE, di ba ang measurement natin is at cost? Ano yung cost? Yung purchase price plus directly attributable cost. Lahat ng cost necessary for the assets intended use, kinakapitalize mo yun sa PPE. Applicable lang yun sa PPE. Hindi yun applicable sa biological assets. Ang applicable sa biological assets, fair value less cost to sell. Yun yung main difference na. Kaya class, very important. Kung anong classification, kung anong standards, kung anong measurement, yung i-apply natin. Gets ba yun? Okay. Na para mas mag-gets nyo yan, let's go to illustrative example number 4. Same concept yung i-apply natin. On January 1, 2025, a dairy cattle of CPA company gave birth to a calf. Nanganak. Okay, may newborn tayo. The fair value less cost to sell of a newly born calf as of January 1, 2025 is 5,000. Costs incurred to induce procreation such as cost of artificial insemination, cost of labor, total 3,000. Okay, so given a fair value less cost to sell, ganito entry ko dyan, class. January 1, 2025, debit biological assets presented as non-current assets. Credit, nanganak yan eh. So, nagbayad ka ba? Hindi. Credit gain from change in fair value less cost to sell. So, kanina may loss ka, ngayon may gain ka. So, how much yan? 5,000. Okay, ano gagawin mo dun sa 3,000? Ika-capitalize mo ba yan? Hindi. Kasi yung mga directly attributable cost, ang kinakapitalize mo yan, sa PPE lang applicable yun. So, sa fair value less cost to sell, expense mo yan. Debit, lagyan na natin sa procreation expense. Debit procreation expense, credit cash, 3,000. Okay, so wag mo ika-capitalize sa biological assets yan, expense yan. So, ang rule natin for biological assets are measured at fair value less cost to sell. All other costs are charged to expense. Okay, ganun yung tatandaan mo. So, let's go to illustrative example number 5. As you notice, maikli lang yung mga problems for biological assets. No? So, let's go to illustrative example number 5. On April 1, 2025, BSA company harvested ripe mangoes. Oh, agricultural produce yan. The harvested mangoes have fair value less cost to sell of 50,000. Labor costs incurred in the harvest total 5,000. Ano entry mo dyan, sir? April 1, 2025, debit agricultural produce, AP na lang, which ayan, debit agricultural produce, and harvest mo yan. So, wala kang cash outflow, okay? Credit gain from change in fair value less cost to sell, which is pepercent natin sa P&L yan, okay? 50,000. Yan daw yung fair value less cost to sell ng agricultural produce, 50,000. E merong labor cost. Ano sabi ko kanina? Biological assets are measured at fair value less cost to sell. All other costs are charged to expense. So, ibig sabihin, debit labor expense, credit cash, 5,000. Huwag mo isasama sa, huwag mo ika-capitalize yan sa agricultural produce mo, alright? Sige, so yun yung sagot natin for illustrative example number 5. Illustrative example number 6. Okay, sir, bakit may government grant dyan related to biological assets? Sinama ko lang yan kasi papakita ko lang sa inyo na walang issue dyan. Kung ano yung alam natin sa government grant, ganun lang din. Ano ba ulit, class, yung concept ng government grant? Pag na-receive natin yung grant, liability muna. Deferred income from government grant. As we perform the conditions, nagiging income siya. Alright? So basahin natin yung problem. On January 1, 2025, the government granted Pinnacle Company 500,000 cash, aid in planting rice. Rice plants are considered annual crops and therefore do not qualify as bearer plants. So kung hindi siya bearer plants, biological assets siya. Kasi bearer plants are PPE. So sabi dyan, do not qualify. So ibig sabihin, biological assets to. The grant requires Pinnacle to farm only within the city limits for 5 years. If any of the conditions breached, Pinnacle must return the grant taking into consideration the portion retained based on passage of time. Divide natin sa 5. Okay, so number 1, income from government grant in 2025, assuming no breach of condition. Oh, edi, ang binigay sa atin, 500,000. Tama? Systematic allocation. Okay, so 5 years daw. O, divide mo sa 5. Ibig sabihin, sa year 1, which is 2025, we can recognize 100,000 as income from government grant. Okay na. Number 2, Total income from government grant earned over 5 years, assuming no breach of condition. How much do ma-earn natin ang total for the next 5 years, assuming di natin ma-breach yung condition or assuming na-perform natin yung conditions? 500,000. Ayan yung total for 5 years. So 100,000 and 500,000. Gusto ko lang i-highlight sa inyo na yung government grant related to biological asset. Walang issue dyan. Kung ano lang din yung alam natin sa government grant, ganun lang din yan. Okay? Sige. Okay, ano pwede natin nasagutan? Let's see. So okay na tayo dito. Number 2. Double check ko lang class para sure tayo. Nasagutan natin lahat. Okay na tayo dyan. Okay, so I think doon na lang tayo sa problem number 3. Diba? So tapos na tayo sa problem 1, 2. Okay, let's go to problem number 3. Okay, now. Ito na yung last concept class na i-discuss natin for this topic. In PS 41, we have required disclosures. Okay? Encouraged lang pala yan. Hindi siya required. Ini-encourage lang tayo kapag may biological assets tayo. Ini-encourage na i-disclose natin ito. So, erase ko ito class para may space tayo. Okay. We are encouraged to disclose total change in fair value less cost of sale. Total change. Okay? Yung total change na yung class, meron 2 components yan. First component is price change and second component is physical change. Okay? So, price change and physical change. So, ano difference ng dalawa na yan? Doon mo tayo sa physical change kasi mas madali siyang ma-visualize. Okay? When you say physical change, kino-consider natin yung physical growth of our biological assets. Okay? For example, meron tayong 1-year-old cow. January 1. So, sa December 31, 2 years old na siya. Tama ba? So, magbabago yung value niya. Tataas yung value niya. Kasi alam natin, mas mahal yung 2-year-old cow sa 1-year-old cow. Yun yung physical change. Ano naman, sir, ibig sabihin ng price change? Basta hindi related sa physical growth, price change yun. For example, biglang yung cow, nagmahal na bigla sa palengke o sa market, biglang nagmahal siya. Okay? Price change yung tawag doon. Okay? Sulat mo muna. Later, i-apply natin yan. Medyo nakakalito yung computation nito, pero ito lang class yung dapat yung tandaan para hindi kayo malito. Fair value less cost of sale, ang gagamitin mo dyan kapag price change is ending versus beginning. Sulat mo muna, and then later i-apply natin. Pag sabi mong ending, December 31. Pag sabi mong beginning, January 1. Yung age na gagamitin natin class is the original age. Okay? Pag physical change naman, ang comparison mo is ending versus ending. Okay? Yung age na gagamitin mo is current versus original. Oh, sir, wala akong naintindihan dyan. Sulat mo muna. I-apply natin yan. Ulitin ko lang. Sa PS41, encourage tayo to disclose the total change, which is composed of price change and physical change. Pag price change, ito yung apply mo. Pag physical change, ito yung apply mo. Okay, so para mas maliwanag, let's go to main problem number 3. Last problem na to. Main problem number 3. Erase ko muna para meron tayong space. But let's take a look at question number 1. How much of the increase in fair value of the biological assets due to price change? Question number 2, how much of this increase of the fair value of the biological assets due to physical change? And number 3, what is the fair value of the biological assets as of December 31? Okay, sige. Ano gawin natin? So, gagawin muna natin class. Main problem number 3, okay? Doon mo tayo sa price change. Price change. Let's read the given. A herd of 100 2-year-old animals, so lagyan na natin agad yan, meron tayong 100 na 2 years old, okay? Was held on January 1, so yun yung beginning natin. 10 animals aged 2.5 years were purchased on July 1. Uy, bumili tayo. 10 na 2.5 daw. Binili natin yung July 1. Okay? So, ito yung January 1. Ito yung July 1. Okay. And 10 animals were born on July 1. Uy, may newly born tayo. So, 10 na newborn. NB na lang. Newborn. Kailan yan? July 1 din. Okay. No animals were sold or disposed of. Per unit, fair values less estimated point of sale or cost of sale are as follows. Kaya, maraming given na fair values cost of sale sa atin. Kaya sinabi ko medyo nakakalito. Okay? Pero ito lang yung i-follow niya dyan. Ano sabi ko dyan? Kapag price change, ending versus beginning, ano yung ending? December 31. Ano yung beginning? Well, it's either January 1 or July 1. Ang gagamitin mong age is original. Pakita ko sa inyo yung computation ko. Dito muna tayo. Okay, so 100 times, sabi ni sir, ending versus beginning. And then original age. So ang gagamitin ko pa rin age is 2 years old. Ano yung ending? Plus, tignan mo yung December 31. Ending yun, tama? December 2-year-old animal nung December 31. Nakita mo yung 5,250? Okay, kasi ending, na original, na? Wala na yung original age, 2 years old. Minus natin yung beginning. Hindi ibig sabihin, yung 2 years old, nung January 1. Nakita mo yung 5,000, yung first item? Okay, yan. 5,250 minus 5,000 times 100, that is 25,000. Okay, ganun siya. O, practice tayo, para mas madalihan kayo. Okay, so yun yung una. So, next natin is 10. Sabi ni sir, ending na original. So, ibig sabihin, 2.5 years old nung December 31. Nasaan yun? Nakita mo ba yung 5,550? Okay? And then, beginning na original. So, ibig sabihin, 2.5 years old nung July 1. Asan yan? 2.5 years old nung July 1. Nakita mo yung 5.4? Okay yan. So, 5550 minus 5.4 times ilan? 10. You get 1,500. Kasi sa una na nakakalito yan. No? It takes practice. Siguro kahit 2 times mo sagutan yung problem na to, magigets mo na yan. Okay, next. Doon mo tayo sa 10. Ending. So, ibig sabihin, December 31 na newborn. Nakita mo yung newborn, December 31, 3,600. I-minus natin sa newborn nung July 1. Nakita mo yung 3,500. O yan. 36 minus 35, that's 100 times 10, that is 1,000. So 25,000 plus 1,500, 26,500, that's 1,000, 27,500. Price change natin, letter dog, 27,500. Okay? So practice lang yan. Next, physical change. Ano ibig sabihin ng physical change? Well, yan yung kapag nag-age, or for example, nag-age ng 1 year, mas mahal na yun because of the physical growth. Alright? Now, ano sabi ko dyan? End versus end, mas madali. Lahat na ng December 31. Pero yung age nagbabago. Current, i-compare mo sa original. So, ang gagawin ko lang dyan, class, i-rewrite ko lang yan. Meron tayong 100 na 2 years old noong January 1. Noong July 1, meron tayong 10 na 2.5 na binili natin. Noong July 1, meron tayong 10 na newborn. Ayan. So, yeah. So, ganito gagawin ko dyan, class. 100 times, so sabi ko dyan, end versus end. So, lahat ng December 31 lang titignan ko. So, current versus original. Originally, 2 years old siya. So, ilang taon na siya December 31? 3 years old. So, punta ka dun sa 3-year-old December 31. Nakita mo 6,000? Ko-compare ko yan sa original. 2 years old nung December 31 na 5,250. Okay? So, again, sa una na siya nakakalito. It takes practice. 6,000 minus 5,250 times 100, you get 75,000. Okay, next. Meron tayong 10 times, tingin tayo sa December 31 na current, ibig sabihin, 2.5 years old siya noong July 1, after 6 months, 3 years old na siya. Ano yung 3 years old noong December 31? O, 6,000. And then, compare natin yung current, o yung original, ibig sabihin, 2.5 years old noong December 31, nasan siya? 5,550. Okay, 6,000. Minus 5,550 times 10. You get 4,500. Next, doon naman tayo sa newborn. Meron tayong 10 na newborn. And then, newborn siya noong July 1, so yung current naman is 0.5. Okay, tingin ka doon sa 0.5-year-old noong December 31, nakita mo yung 4,000. Yes. And then yung original, ibig sabihin, newborn noong December 31, nakita mo yung 3,600. Yes. Okay, so 4,000 minus 36, that's 400 times 10, that is 4,000. Okay. So, ingat ka, class, no? Kapag may newborn, tingnan mo to. Ang kinompute lang natin is the change. Alright? Kung maalala mo yung journal entry natin, dun kanina, pag may newborn, nag-debit biological asset tayo, credit, gain from change in fair value. Okay? Now, eto class, ang kinonsider mo pa lang dito is the change from July 1 to December 31. Hindi pa natin na-consider yung fair value nung day na nanganak siya, which is July 1. Alright? So, nung July 1 class, okay, meron tayong 10 na newborn. Again, ang na-consider mo pa lang is the change from July 1 to December 31. Pero hindi mo pa na-consider yung mismong nanganak, yung day na nanganak. Alright? So, ang gagawin ko dyan class, 10 na newborn, ano yung fair value na nung July 1? Nakita mo yung newborn at July 1, 3,500? Okay, so 10 times 3,500, 35,000. Kumbaga, ito yung fair value nung nanganak, debit biological asset, credit gain, tapos nung nag-increase yung value niya because of physical change on December 31, 4,000. So, ibig sabihin, yung newborn natin, 39,000 talaga yung fair value niya. Okay, so isipin mo parang ganun. Tandaan mo class, kapag may newborn, yung consider dyan as physical change. Huwag mo isasama sa price change yun. Obviously, pag nag-newborn, actual birth yun eh. Tama? So, physical yun. Physical birth. Okay, sasama mo dyan. So, ingat ka lang doon kasi usually nakakalimutan ng students na isama to. Ingat ka doon ha. Okay, babox ko para maalala mo. So, physical change natin, 75,000 plus 4,500 plus 4,000 plus 35,000, that is 118,500. Okay, letter D. Dog for question 1, dog for question number 2. Okay, tingnan natin kung nasa choices. Pag di mo sinama, wala naman sa choices. Pero, again, huwag mo kakalimutan yan. Pag may newborn, ilagay mo sa physical change, sa date of birth, July 1, okay, kung how much yung fair value niya, isasama mo sa physical change yan. Yun yung sagot natin. Pag tinanong class, how much yung total change? Di ba? Kasi total change yan eh. Pwede mo i-divide sa price and physical. O, add mo lang. 27,500 na price change plus 118,500 na physical change. Pag tinanong, how much yung total change? Sagot mo, 146,000. Okay? Question number 3, last one class. What is the fair value of the biological assets December 31? Ganito gagawin ko dyan. So, may 2 ways akong papakita sa inyo. Kayo na bahala kung paano nyo compute. Okay? Gagawin ko T-account. Biological assets. Alright? So, gagawin ko dyan. Ending balance yung tanong, di ba? So, ito. Yun yung tanong sa atin. How much yung beginning balance? Tama ba class? Meron tayong beginning na yung 100 na 2 years old. Tama? So, how much yun? 100 and then how much yung fair value nung 2 years old na yun in January 1? Nakita mo ba yung 5,000? So, lagay ko dito. 100 times 5,000. Okay? So, beginning balance yan. Beginning balance. Beginning balance natin, meron tayong 100 na 2 years old. How much yung fair value yung 2 years old? Ayun, first item, 5,000. So 100 times 5,000, 500,000. And then, bumili tayo. Tama ba? So meron tayong purchased. Nasaan yun? Ito. So meron tayong 10 na 2.5 years old. Tingin ka dun sa third item, 2.5-year-old, 5,400. Tama? 10 yun. 10 times 5, 54,000. Okay? And then meron tayong, isama mo na dyan, yung total change, which is the price change and physical change, na 146,000. Okay? So lagyan mo na lang change. Okay? So add natin lahat. 500,000 plus 54,000 plus 146,000. Sagot mo dyan, class, is 700,000. O yun, ganoon na siya. Pag T account. Letter C, sagot mo dyan. Okay? Pwedeng isa pang way. Pakita ko sa inyo. Ito pa yung isang way. I-divide ko ulit siya into 3. Meron tayong 100 na 2 years old. Meron tayong 10 na 2.5 years old. Meron tayong 10 na newborn. Okay? Pero ang pinag-uusapan natin yun, December 31. Okay? So ganito gagawin ko dyan, class. 100 times 2 years old. 3 years old na siya ngayon. December 31 eh. Ilan yun? 6,000 yung fair value niya. Tama? 100 times 6,000, that is 600,000. Okay. Next, 10. 2.5 years old siya noong July 1. 3 years old na siya noong December 31. Edi 10 times 6,000, 60,000. Yung newborn naman, 0.5-year-old na siya noong December 31. How much yung fair value nun? 0.5 noong December 31 is 4,000. So that is 40,000. 600 plus 60 plus 660 plus 40, that's 700,000. O yun, pareho lang makukuha mo dyan. So ikaw bahala, pwedeng T-account or pwedeng ito, yung second way natin. Okay, ako, ginagamit ko T-account, no? Para mas na-visualize ko siya. Answer mo dyan, class, letter C for question number 3. Papakita ko na rin yung journal entries para kompleto tayo. So, pakita natin yung journal entries. Ganito gagawin ko dyan, class. For question number 3, first entry, doon muna sa bumili tayo. How much ba yung binili natin, class? Well, ito, tama? Binili natin yan, 54,000. Debit biological assets, credit cash, 54,000. And then, number 2, ang gagawin ko dyan, class, yung change natin. Hindi pa natin na-consider yan. Debit biological assets, credit gain from change in fair value, that is 146,000. Okay, so ganun siya. So pag in-add mo to, class, tingnan mo ha, pakita ko sa'yo. Tama ba 54,000 plus 146 is 200,000? Tama? Ito daw yung increase ng biological assets natin. Tama ba? So 200,000, ito rin siya. May beginning ka na 500, may ending ka na 700. Tumaas ng 200,000. Ano yung entry mo sa 200,000? Well, yung binili mo. 54. Biological assets cash, 54. And then yung change, total change, 146,000. Debit biological assets, credit gain from change, 146. Add mo yan, 200,000. Okay? Para naman mas ma-visualize mo yung journal entries. Okay? Good. Let's finish this by answering theory questions. Theory number 1. Which of the following statements is true about biological assets? A. Biological assets must be valued at cost. Mali. Fair value is cost to sell. Boy, biological assets are only found in biotech entities. No. C. Biological assets do not generally have future benefits. May future benefits yan. Assets yan eh. Dog yung sagot. Biological assets are living animals or plants and must be reported as separate item, non-current asset yan. It's biological assets. Dog for number 1. Number 2, according to PS 41, agriculture, which of the following criteria must be satisfied before a biological asset can be recognized? Since asset siya, number 1, the entity controls the asset, yes. Number 2, it is probable that economic benefits will flow to the entity. That's also correct. Hindi necessary yung 3, active market, and 4, the asset comes from a homogeneous biological group. Hindi. A yung sagot mo dyan. Kasi nga asset siya, kailangan measurable yung cost, kailangan may benefits tayo, kailangan may control tayo. Letter A for number 2. Number 3, the cost of agricultural produce is, punta ka sa dog, for various cost to sell at the point of harvest. Kung kailan natin hinarvest. Pag plants, kung kailan natin pinitas yung mga fruits. Pag animals, kung kailan nanganak. Okay, parang ganun. So, that's your answer, dog. Number 4, which of the following is not dealt by PS 41? A, accounting for bioassets, of course, kasama yan. B, the processing of agricultural produce after harvesting. Pag nag-process ka na, okay, PS2 na yan. Inventory na yan. Tama? So, mali yan. So, yung boy, PS2 yan. Inventory. So, yun yung sagot, boy. Letter C, initial measurement. Yes. Fair values cost of sale. D, accounting for government grant. Pinakita ko na kanina yan. So, letter boy for number 4. Number 5, agricultural activity. Punta ka, ito yung agricultural activity. Tama? So, again, necessary yan before natin i-classify as biological assets. Punta ka sa C. Ito yung definition niya. Management by entity of the biological transformation of bioassets for sale into agricultural produce or into another biological asset. So, example ko dyan, yung pag-aalaga dyan, tama? Raising, feeding, pagpapakain, pagbigay ng fertilizers, ng mga vitamins, yung mga ganyan. That's agricultural activity, letter C. Tingnan natin ibang choices, guys. A is the harvested product, agricultural produce. B is the detachment of agricultural produce, harvest. Okay? Yung B is harvest. No? Letter D or dog relates to the processes of growth, degeneration, production, and procreation that can cause changes of quantitative and qualitative nature. Take note na lang class, no? Ang tawag dyan is biological transformation. Yun yung term dyan. Ang ibig sabihin niya lang, yun yung actual transformation, yung pag lumalaki na yung animals and plants mo. So pag nag-apply ka ng agricultural activities, yun yung process. Pero yung actual na transformation ng biological plants and animals, ang tawag dyan class, biological transformation. So letter C for number 5. Number 6, agricultural activity results in which of the following types of assets. Yung agricultural activities, applicable yan both for animals and plants. Letter C, both. Kasama lahat yan. Lahat ng biological assets, kasama na rin yung agricultural produce. Letter C, both biological assets and agricultural produce. Number 7, when there is a long aging or maturation process after harvest. Kasi pag after harvest or after agricultural produce, inventory na yan. Tama? So, C tayo dyan. Boy tayo dyan. PAS2, inventory. Okay? Again, during harvest, agricultural produce. After harvest, inventory na yan. Boy for number 7. Number 8, which of the following items would be classified as bioassets? Sagot mo dyan A, chickens, kasi living animal yan. Eggs, agricultural produce yan. Land, PPE. Oranges, agricultural produce. A for number 8. Number 9, which of the following items would be classified as agricultural produce? Apple, yes. Yan yung sagot A. Butter, hindi. Processed yan, inventory yan. Bush and tree, PPE naman yan. Okay? Letter A for number 9. Number 10, under PS 41, which of the following will be classified as a product that is a result of processing after harvest. Alin doon dito yung inventory? Bananas, hindi. Agricultural produce yan. Cheese, yes. Boy na yung sagot. Cotton and wool, agricultural produce yan. 11, biological assets are measured at? Boy, fair value less cost of sale. Number 12, under PS 41, any gain from the initial recognition, sa mo ipipresent, P&L lahat yan. Lahat ng changes in fair value less cost of sale, P&L. A, be recognized in the profit or loss. Number 13, which of the following is unlikely to be used in fair value measurement? So again, fair value less cost of sale. So very important na alam natin how much yung fair value. Alin daw dito yung hindi ginagamit in practice? A, quoted market price. Yan talaga yung ginagamit. Pag pumunta sa palengke, alam na alam mo doon, madali malaman kung how much yung price. A, yung talagang ginagamit dyan. B, yung unlikely, external independent valuation. Again, because madali mo naman malaman. Okay? Hindi mo na kailangang magpa-compute pa from an expert. Parang ganun. So, boy yung sagot mo dyan, unlikely. Yung C, most recent market transaction. For example, yesterday may nagbentahan na 10 cows. Okay, kung how much yun, pwedeng yun na rin yung approximate mo na price today. Parang ganun. The present value, well, actually, hindi rito ginagamit. No? Kasi nga, madali naman malaman yung price in the market. Pero parang ito yung concept ng value in use. So sa PS41, pwede mo rin siyang i-apply. Boy yung sagot mo dyan. External independent valuation, hindi natin ginagamit yan. Boy for number 13. 14, land that is related to agricultural activities. Sabi ko kayo na pag land, PPE yan. Dog. In accordance with PS16, PPE. Or investment property, depende. So, PPE. Okay, dog tayo for number 14. 15, when there is a production cycle of more than 1 year, PS41 encourages, hindi required, disclosure of price change and physical change. C. And last item, a required disclosure for biological assets, FYI na lang to. Number 1, aggregate gain or loss during the current period. Ayun, parang yung price change and physical change. Okay, initial recognition of bioassets and from change in fair value cost of sale, yes, kasama yan. Description of each group of biological assets, kasama rin yan. So FYI na lang yan, letter C. Okay, that concludes our discussion on biological assets.